Don't buy Florida condo. Well, I definitely will not suggest you not to buy Florida condo, but I will strongly advise you to hire a real estate professional who can produce you all the financial documentations, all milestone inspection, and other documents that are associated with the purchase of condominium in Florida. It's very complicated process, and I will definitely not suggest you navigating it by yourself. Hire a buyer agent. So condo law in 2025, new year, new problems. Why we're talking about condominium association problems in 2025? It all comes to the tragedy that happened with Champlain Towers in Miami-Dade. After that, every condominium building, if it is older than 30 years old, has to go through milestone inspections and do structural integrity reserve studies. And even more often, if it's closer to the shoreline, if it's within 3 miles of shoreline, the condominium has to go through these inspections every 25 years. Current condo facts. It's very interesting. Over 1.5 million condo units is in total in Florida. 28,000 condo associations. 1.1 out of this 1.5 units are more than 30 years old. So you can imagine all this situation that all of the condominiums going through right now. So 58 of all units are concentrated in 8 counties, the most popular, obviously, and where we live: Broward, Palm Beach, Miami-Dade, Pinellas, Collier, Sarasota, Hillsborough, and Manatee. So relevant laws that were established after the tragedy with Champlain Towers in May 2022, the government started requiring milestone inspections and structural integrity reserve study for all condos and co-ops buildings 3 stories or higher. All structural integrity research studies and reserve studies must be part of the condo's official records now and must be provided to potential buyers. So there were a couple of other additions were taken by the Senate down the road in June and July 2023. They prohibited waiving or reducing reserve funding for repairs and maintenance of structural components. So the reason why the tragedy happened with Champlain Towers is because the HOA neglected and didn't spend money on structural integrity of the building. Obviously, you don't spend money on maintenance of the building, on the car, it collapses. And in July 2023, the government introduced criminal penalties for board members who act in bad faith. So if the money were stolen from these funds and not spent on the structural integrity of the building, now HOA members can be criminally responsible. So Champlain Towers, if you are interested what's going on with this place right now, this, whatever was left from the building, was bought by Dubai-based developer, and the sale proceeds were turned over to the receiver for the condo association, and the receiver used sale proceeds along with the association insurance coverage to pay almost $100 million to the condo owners under a settlement agreement approved by the Miami-Dade Circuit Court. And 12-story, 57 luxury unit mid-rise is planned for the development in this spot. That you can see that used to be Champlain. Would I buy personally in that spot? I don't know, but it's up to you. Milestone inspections. So there are 2-phase inspection to be performed by licensed architect or engineer. Phase 1, visual inspection. Phase 2, concrete testing follow-up to the phase 1. Only required for buildings that are 3 stories or higher, and clarifies that the milestone inspection is required for the residential buildings only, not those that are wholly commercial. So if there is a separate commercial building that are 3-story or higher, and it's even within 3-mile zone to the shoreline, this building doesn't have to go through the milestone inspection. Timeline for milestone inspection. If the certificate of occupancy was issued before July 1st, 1992, the deadline to perform milestone inspection is December 31st, 2024, which means is already passed. So we are behind the deadline. If the certificate of occupancy was issued on or after July 1st, 1992, the performance of milestone inspection by the building's 30th birthday year. However, if the building is within 3 miles of the shoreline, then the milestone inspection must be completed by the building's 25th birthday year. So what we have now, we're having a big problem that all, as I mentioned, 1.1 million condominiums are behind. So they are older than 30 years old. So out of a sudden, all these buildings started applying for milestone inspection, and now we have a very big backlog because we don't have enough engineers and architects to perform this inspection. Erosion, as you can see, is just illustration of why the units that are closer to the shoreline have to go through the inspection more often, because obviously the nature takes its turn, and we have to be sure that people living right on the ocean are safe. So due dates can be extended by local code enforcement. So as I mentioned, unfortunately, not all condominiums were able to go through this milestone inspection. So Condo may petition for an extension of the deadline for a good cause. Good cause means Condo entered into a contract for inspection, but due to availability, backing, etc., more time is needed. And records must be kept for 15 years, and findings are delivered to each owner. Copy of the inspector's summary must be posted at the property, and owners, tenants, and prospective purchasers all have a right to inspect these reports. If phase 2 is indicated, then repairs must be conducted within 365 days of the report. So, as an example, already what's happening, this building in Fort Lauderdale, or this condo building, was inspected, and there were heavy, really big floors were found, and I'm talking about like really big structural damages to the building, and the owners were faced to pay over $100,000 each to repair. So obviously they couldn't come up with this amount of money, so they decided to sell the building as a whole to the developer. Structural integrity reserve studies. After the deadline, associations with buildings 3 stories or higher can no longer waive structural reserve funds. Associations must also complete structural integrity reserve studies and establish reserve for these structural issues. Structural report must be provided to the owners within 45 days of completion. So here is just a summary of what's going on with condo associations and the specifics of purchasing a condo in Florida. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to provide you with more details, and we can buy a condo, and you can rest assured that we can find the condominiums that already went through this milestone inspection, so you are not going to be faced with additional money assessments after this inspection is going to be done. So that's what's going on with people. They go through these milestone inspections. They're faced with these heavy assessments, like I gave you an example in Fort Lauderdale, and they are not able to pay, and that's why they have to sell really fast and probably at a loss. So my phone number is 561-406-0717, 561-406-0717. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. Thank you. Have a fantastic day.